Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are discussing today uh, a video that was made by Stephen A. Smith reacting to Steve Kerr benching Jayson Tatum. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jayson Tatum is a world champion. Last year, the Boston Celtics won, not last year, earlier this year, the Celtics won the 2024 NBA championship. And he was the best player on the team. He's gotten a $300+ million contract as a result of his performance. I think he's probably somewhere in his fifth or sixth year. And I think within the first 5 or 6 years of his career with the Celtics, this kid has outperformed what was expected of him. Since succeeding at Duke, he's done a lot of great things. And, he elects to go to this NBA Olympics participation. So I guess they pulled all the great players together to go play and compete against other countries in the world. And Jayson Tatum, having all those things, all those accolades, doesn't get 1 minute in a blowout game against, I think it was Serbia or some team. And Steve Kerr makes a poor excuse as to why. Oh, we couldn't find the minutes for him. Yet they started Derek White, who's really a bench player coming off the Boston Celtics. He was the guy that they elected to bring in after Kawhi Leonard got hurt. And they found a way to play Drew Holiday, also another supporting cast member for the Boston Celtics, not the star player. So to everyone, I think it looks like some BS. Why Steve Kerr would bench a player of that caliber and not even give him 1 minute in a game where they won by, I think, close to 20 points. So there's a lot. I mean, Jayson Tatum is better than Devin Booker. He's better than a lot of players on the team. You know what I mean? He's probably one of the top 5 or top 6 players on the team, if not amongst the top 3 players on the team. He's in his prime. Some of the other players, LeBron, KD, Steph, those are top 3 players. But, KD's injury prone. LeBron is, older. So Jayson Tatum is literally in his prime. I think he's along, the elites with, what's the kid from Minnesota that plays? Anthony Edwards. And he's not getting no playing time. To me, it was BS. I think it was offensive as a Boston Celtics fan. I didn't like the play, and I didn't like the excuse that he made. I thought it was very condescending to even try to insult people's intelligence, to make him think that somehow, some way, he can play some of these bench players, but he can't even play a guy who just got a $305 million contract and just won a championship in his first 5-6 years of the league. To me, that's ridiculous, and it's something that needs to be called out. Luckily, while I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith much, there are times he makes valid points, and this time he criticized Steve Kerr for doing that. And so we're going to go ahead and get into the video that Stephen A. Smith made. But we'll also react to the video as we go along. All right. Without any further ado, let's get into it.
Basketball Association, by the way. Kevin Durant led the way for Team USA, coming off the bench, draining his first 8 shots, 5 of them from three-point range. Durant was the 5th player off the bench for head coach Steve Kerr, who, by the way, again, did not elect to play Celtics superstar player Jayson Tatum. I'll get to that in a moment, but first, I want to give props to the one and only KD Trey, the one and only Kevin Durant, the 2-time champion, the 2-time NBA Finals MVP, the 1-time league scoring champion, one of the most prolific scorers the game has ever seen, and a surefire first ballot future Hall of Famer when his career is ultimately over. He didn't play in any of the 5 exhibition games because of that calf strain. Obviously, they were very, very cautious in letting him play. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to put in a proper perspective. We ain't seen the brother play. He ain't playing any of the exhibition games whatsoever, okay? And this brother comes off the bench, okay? And in the first half, 21 points, hits all 8 of his shots, including all 5 of his three-pointers. That's what Kevin Durant did. That's what he did yesterday, okay? And so obviously you're looking at him and you're looking at his resume because in just 17 minutes of play, this is what he did: 23 points, 89% shooting from the field, okay? Team USA was a brilliant plus 17 in the first half, plus 20 for the game with him on the basketball court. And this is the guy that didn't enter the game until 2:23 remained in the first quarter. And this is what Kevin Durant did. He's just that special. 11 points in his first 4 minutes on 4 shots, okay? A three-pointer, a two-pointer, okay, another three-pointer, 95 seconds after he made another three. That's what he did. This is who Kevin Durant is. Him and LeBron James, because LeBron James had 21 for the game. They combined for, to make their first 14 shots, 7 of them from three-point range. So that was spectacular in and of itself. KD and LeBron were the first Team USA teammates to score over 20 points in an Olympic opener. But this is Kevin Durant again that we're talking about here. And you see LeBron there. 27 minutes, 21 points, 9 of 13 shooting from the field, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, for crying out loud. This is LeBron James that we're talking about here. Let's go back to Kevin Durant, though, because we understand what Team USA is supposed to be. We understand the favorites that they are. We understand that they had some tough matchups in exhibition competition. Started off slow against Canada. Beat South Sudan by just 1 point, okay? Blew out Serbia, but nevertheless had some interesting competitive matchups going up against them, and we understand what that was about. But they didn't have Kevin Durant. When you have Kevin Durant, it changes the complexion. He's a 3-time gold medalist. He's a 3-time gold medalist. He's going for a 4th, ladies and gentlemen. That is what he is going for. If he wins his 4th gold medal, he will become the first male athlete in Olympic history to win 4 gold medals in any team sport. Do you understand who we're talking about here? That is who we're talking about with Kevin Durant, okay? And I'm looking at it. His Olympic career, averaging 19.9 points on 54% shooting from the field, 51.6% shooting from three-point range. That's the Kevin Durant that we're talking about here, right? He's recorded the 3 highest scoring averages in an Olympic Games at 20.7 points per game in 2020, 19.5 points per game in 2012, 19.4 points per game in 2016. It's who he is. He was named the MVP in Tokyo, where he led Team USA with the 20.7 points per game. Kevin Durant is spectacular. He's spectacular. Now, Carmelo Anthony, let's not forget his name. He's got 3 Olympic gold medals. Give him props where it's due here. But there's only one KD. And if KD is in the lineup at 6'11", with LeBron James, with a Joel Embiid, because he was starting yesterday, okay, even though he was booed profusely by the French crowd because he could have represented France instead of USA in the Olympics, and he chose to be with Team USA. So people didn't appreciate that. But I'm just looking at a bunch of things right here, and we understand what Team USA is supposed to be. Kevin Durant is one of those dudes. And maybe, just maybe, and I had to think about this. I had to take a moment to think about this because let me tell you something about Kevin Durant. When the Golden State Warriors beat the Boston Celtics and Steph Curry had captured his 4th NBA championship and his first NBA Finals MVP, I went on the record and saying, it's sad. I'm not saying he deserves it, but Kevin Durant is going to be known more for the guy who left Steph Curry to join Kyrie Irving than he'd be remembered for being a 2-time champion. Well, you know what offsets that to some degree? If the brother ends up catching a 4th Olympic gold medal, particularly playing the way that he played. Because when you see Team USA struggle, and then you see Kevin Durant get out on the basketball court and play the way that he plays, and all of a sudden it's a lopsided contest. Now you start looking at Team USA and saying, this is what we meant when we said, who the hell gonna beat them? Because I'm looking at France with Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama. They ain't giving up layups. You got to hit perimeter shots in order to beat them. Well, guess who can do that? That's KD. I'm looking at Canada with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Dylan Brooks and the RJ Barretts of the world and others. And I'm like, who the hell? I mean, they could beat a lot of people, but not when KD's on the floor with a LeBron James, a Joel Embiid, and the rest of the crew. That ain't going down like that. I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at Serbia, and I'm like, what you going to be able to do? I don't know how much. You share the basketball. You play selflessly. You rely on movement of the basketball. Don't make a difference when KD's on the court because his length and his athleticism also enables him to be an elite defensive player for you as well, not just a scoring machine. Not to mention the fact keying up on him potentially frees up shots for other people. So I'm looking at all of those things, and I'm saying this is what we expect. With KD on the court, if healthy, there's no reason on earth that Team USA should not run to the gold medal with relative ease. I don't give a damn what anybody says. What anybody says. And because of that reality, that's why I find myself pissed off right now at Golden State Warriors and now Team USA's head coach, Steve Kerr. Because we got to get to him. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the man elected not to play Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum. 0 minutes. Jayson Tatum, the last 3 years, all NBA first team. Jayson Tatum, top 6 for league in the category for league MVP. Jayson Tatum, the reigning defending NBA champion, Jayson Tatum. And you can't find minutes in a 26-point lopsided victory. You can't find 1 minute for Jayson Tatum. I'm trying to get away from cussing because, I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I'm a decent human being that loves the Lord, and my pastor's watching me sometimes, and I know he gets mad at me when I cuss. But Steve Kerr, that's some straight bullshit. I mean, really? You got to be kidding me. I mean, what possible excuse could you have for that? I want to hear this. And I'm reading these reports, and these people getting on my damn nerves. Getting on my damn nerves. But before I get into any of that with Steve Kerr and his BS, let's hear his BS excuse or rationale when he was talking to ESPN's own Brian Windhorst, who was on this show last week previewing the Olympic competition. This is Steve Kerr with Brian Windhorst after not finding a minute to play Jayson Tatum. Listen to this.
You guys play your best game of the whole summer to this point, but you didn't get to use Jayson Tatum, who's obviously one of the best players in the league. Obviously, that's one of the hard things to do in your role.
Yeah, it's tough, but Jayson handled it really well. I talked to him today before the game that it may play out this way, just with Kevin coming back and the lineups that I wanted to get to. But that'll change. Jayson's going to play. Every game's going to be different based on matchups. He's a total pro. He's first team All NBA 3 years in a row. I felt like an idiot not playing him. But in a 40-minute game, you can't play more than 10. You really can't. And, so I think he's an amazing guy, great player and handled it beautifully. And, he'll be back out there next game.
Oh, that's such bullshit. Come on, man. Steve Kerr, you're a 4-time champion. You're one of the great, great coaches that have ever coached the game of basketball. What do you mean you can't play more than 10? If anybody can play more than 10, it's you. It's you. And the lack of cohesiveness when we lament Team USA and we talk about they got a bunch of superstar players, but they're not necessarily a team because they haven't necessarily played together. You don't have to sit up there and have a starting lineup with the people that you have. Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker. Well, a second unit has to be Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Derek White, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo. And oh, by the way, now if KD comes back and he's still healthy, you might take Devin Booker out the starting lineup, and instead you might put in Kevin Durant. So Kevin Durant would be starting with Steph Curry and Drew Holiday instead of Devin Booker, and Devin Booker will be starting with Anthony Edwards and Derek White. Really? With the talent that you have, what do you mean you can't play more than 10? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because they're all great. What are you trying to say? That you couldn't find a few minutes for an all-NBA player who stands here today as the reigning NBA champion? Who averaged 27 a game? Who, by the way, isn't too shabby defensively? But you can find time for teammates, not one, but two, in Drew Holiday and Derek White that can't do what he does? What are you talking about? I know Drew Holiday is your point guard, and I get that part. I've seen Jayson Tatum bringing the basketball up the court on many occasions in his NBA career. You're going to tell me he can't do what Derek White does? Who's the star of the Boston Celtics? Who's the guy that just getting paid over $300 million? Who's the guy that led the Boston Celtics to the championship. I understand Jaylen Brown was the conference finals MVP and he was the NBA finals MVP, but he ain't the dude who was the number one option, averaging 27 a game over the course of an 82-game season, and then showed up in the playoffs and did his thing then as well. That was Jayson Tatum. When Jaylen Brown got $304 million last summer to remain with the Boston Celtics, everybody and their grandmother knew his salary would pale in comparison to Jayson Tatum once his time rolled around to following something, because it's only one Jayson Tatum. And to sit up here and to have him go through an entire NBA season and then go through the playoffs and capture a championship and still take time in his offseason to join Team USA and to go overseas to play in Paris and to have a champion riding the bench like he's some damn water boy. You got to be kidding me. I mean, that's nonsense. That's just nonsense. You got Ty Lue on your bench. You got Eric Spoelstra on their bench. I don't know this definitively because I'm certainly not implying that they're better than you, Steve Kerr, but I think they would have found time for Jayson Tatum. I don't think they would have made some comment about, oh, you just can't play 10 players. So what you trying to say, Steve Kerr? You say he'll play the next game. Well, if he plays the next game, you trying to tell me somebody else ain't going to play? Devin Booker's not going to play? Derek White's not going to play? Jayson Tatum starred at Duke University. He comes into the NBA as a top 3 overall pick when he really should have been number 1, because Brian Colangelo and the Philadelphia 76ers should not have drafted Markelle Fultz. It should have been Jayson Tatum. He's a star in the NBA who continues to elevate. He's been in the 5 conference finals, 2 NBA championships before his 27th birthday. He's an NBA champion, and he's riding the bench because Steve Kerr said Derek White, who played Division II basketball. Very relevant. But nobody would mistake him for Jayson Tatum. He plays, but Jayson Tatum don't play. Jrue Holiday, elite defensive player, floor general for sure. But he played before Jayson Tatum. I'm sorry. How about Jrue Holiday not starting and Steph Curry being your point guard? How about that? There's plenty of options. I don't know. Steve Kerr's forgotten more basketball than I know. But I'm pretty damn sure. I'd bet my career I could have found a few minutes for Jayson Tatum. You got to be shitting me. I mean, this is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. If you're going to bench anybody, bench Derek White. What are you talking about? And I say bench none of them. Because your talent is so elite, everybody should be able to get a few minutes. LeBron didn't have to play 27 for you to win. I mean, what happened to 23 minutes? What happened to 21 minutes? What are you trying to say? Think about that. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're riding the bench, the implication is putting you on the court would be to the detriment of our team. That's what riding the bench means. And if that's what you're saying it about the reigning, defending NBA champion. That is Jayson Tatum. He can't do it, y'all. And I wouldn't advise him to do it because I would never do something like that either. But I got to tell you, if that man had the attitude, get me the hell out of Paris, I'm ready to go back home, I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame him. Yeah, you know, and coaches always do that too. They always do this BS where you know, they're so consummate professional. And all you doing is glossing over, they didn't cuss me out because of the decision I made. It's a way to give yourself a reprieve. Oh, they're class and they're professional. And that's what this is not. This is the Olympics, man. He didn't have to be here. I'm quite sure Jayson Tatum could have found better things to do with his time in the summer after winning his first championship than riding the bench in front of an international audience. He's a champion and the leader of the champions. You have any idea how it makes him look to be riding the bench? Come on, man. This ain't right. This ain't right. Halliburton, mad love for him, but I understand him not playing compared to others. I get it, and his time will come. And he got an awkward style of game where, you know, it's give or take. It's risky to some degree. I get that part. That's not Jayson Tatum. And they talk about Jayson Tatum hasn't had the greatest Olympics or whatever. Shoot 47% from the field. Come on, y'all. Team USA won by 26. They didn't win by 1. It's inexcusable. 10-man rotation. You can't really play more than 10. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If you can play LeBron James 27 minutes, you can find time for somebody else and carve out a little less for him. Come on, man. LeBron is playing great. So I'm not implying, I'm just using that as an example in terms of minutes. It's really disgusting. It's really disgusting. There's no excuse for this. No excuse whatsoever. Really hard to, in a 40-minute game, to play more than 10 guys. It's Team USA. Let me remind y'all of who's on the roster. Joel Embiid, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Derek White, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo, Jayson Tatum, and Tyrese Halliburton. It's hard to find time to play, guys. Again, we ain't talking about the amount of minutes. We're talking about ensuring that a champion, a reigning defending champion, who's a first-team All-NBA player, doesn't have donut minutes. That's what we're talking about. We ain't say he only played 7 minutes or he only played 10 minutes. 0! Nah. Y'all, you know, this, you can't explain that. You can't explain that. I don't give a damn what Steve Kerr says.
So there you have it. Stephen A. Smith's take on Steve Curry benching Jayson Tatum. I want to preface this whole commentary by saying I have a tremendous amount of respect for Steve Kerr. I think he was a great player. I think he's an excellent coach. I like what he's done with the Golden State Warriors. When I'm not rooting for the Boston Celtics because they're out of contention, I'm rooting for the Golden State Warriors. So this is like my second team. And I did not like the fact that he did that. I feel like that there's something personal going on there. I would definitely keep an eye on it. It did seem like it was more of a shot. And he seemed disingenuous by even the false apology that he couldn't find a minute for this guy who's literally one of the premier players. If anything, he's really the top player in the league right now. I mean, the guy's got a championship. So between him and Brown, they're the top guys. They're the top duo in the league right now, right? And Brown didn't get selected. Now there's shade being thrown to the other star player of the Boston Celtics who just won a championship. I don't think it's a coincidence. There's something going on. So at the end of the day, it was a butthead move on the part of Steve Kerr. I pray that he fixes it and that we don't have another situation where this dude's wasting his time in some Olympic area riding the bench. That's not his place, okay? So Steve Kerr needs to get his stuff together and make sure this dude gets ample playing time in the following games to come. If not, I'm tuning out because this is some BS. All right. Yours truly, for those of you who are not connected to our show, the Intercourse Show over here, please join our community. Like and subscribe, share the video, stay engaged, share your comments. Let me know what you're thinking. And until I see you again, peace.